Everyone, this is Randy Richard in the shop. Fusion engine. We're doing really good here on the cylinder, and let's try to we're going to try to finish this up. So we're right back where we left off from the other video from part 1, so be sure to check that out and watch all the parts to these parts. You can really learn a lot. I try to include as many little things in here as possible. I know I was going to try to only do 1 or 2 new things, but if we want to get the parts done, we got to step up our game and try to learn some new features and get our parts drawn and modeled. So we need to finish the face over here on this one side. Now, there's several ways we could do it, but in this case, it's a lot easier to just draw it on the face. So if you go up here and click on the light for the base and get rid of the base, you'll see our origin is right there, right where we need it to be. It's all set, and it makes it real easy to draw this. So we're just going to go S, and we're going to create sketch and select that face. C for circle, and we're going right to the middle, and it's 0.7. And it will match up right with the one on the base because of our origin and how we've centered everything. Stop sketch, E for extrude, and that's going to be minus 0.125. Minus because it needed to go in the minus direction, not out toward us. See, out toward us would have been positive. So now we have our counterbore. Now that has 4 440 screw holes in it. So we'll S again, create shortcut, and select the bottom. We'll select the bottom of the hole. Yeah, there we go. The bolt circle, we're going to do it just like we did the other one. C for circle, 0.5 is the bolt circle. Make it a construction line. Throw another line in there, makes it easy. Make it a construction line. C for circle, wherever you want. We'll put it down low this time. 0.089 because it's 440, so we know the size of that hole. We can zoom in here. Sketch and circular pattern. Again, same setup, right? Two items. Oops, I got 3 for some reason. 2 items. Circle and I want circle and the point. You can just do one of them, but I like using the points in case I want to reference it later. Center point is, of course, the center of the bore. 4 holes, done. Oops, we didn't do our line. Let's put our line in from here to there. Line X, construction line. Dimension is that line and this line. Dimension here, horizontal line and this line. And our angle is 45. Boom. E for extrude. And now these holes do not go into the bore. They need to be minus here, it's here, back up, minus 0.25. Now, they didn't go into the bore, but we can't see how close it is to the bore, can we? Well, let's first put our threads in. Go to create, thread. Select one, hold down control, select the others. Change to 440, boom, 440. Now they're threaded. But we want to see what we got here, so we can right click on cylinder over here on the left. Opacity control, 30%. And we can see where our holes are. Hit front, and it squares as normal, and we can see how deep that is, and that is just fine. Plenty of room there, plenty of clearance, and we'll be just fine. So that's how we can just check, make sure we're looking good. All right, I'm going to go back to 100 here percent just to help us look what we're doing. Now we have two ports. We have a port on each side of the bore, the counter bore, that angle over into the bore. Those holes are at 30 degrees. Now, we drew a bunch of construction lines before and placed our holes and all that, but we didn't need to draw as much as we did. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a sketch again. Select this surface, and we're going to place our two holes. All we really have to do is draw the circles, right, for where our holes are going to go. Let's see. I don't want it to be attached anywhere, so I just want a circle. It's 0.125. It's called out for the size. Another one over here, 0.125. I'm not really saying where they need to be, but they need to match the other holes. So dimension from there to there is 1 inch apart, and then dimension from here to one of the holes to the center is 1/2 inch. Oh, there we're right there. What luck. That's all we really need to do, and say stop sketch. Now we can put in the angled planes we need. We're going to do angled plane at angle again. But we didn't do our construction lines, but we don't need to. All we need to do is have a vertical line, and we're going to choose the edge of the cylinder. And then we're going to angle it 30 degrees like that. There we go. So now if we draw a circle on that plane, it will shoot a circle from hopefully here all the way into the bore, in the right location in the bore, right at the end. That's what we want. So let's make our other plane. Construct plane. We'll do that one over here, and we'll swing it out 30 degrees. Is that the right way? That's not the right way. Minus 30 degrees. There we go. Now it's going to be create sketch again, and we're going to select this plane. We're going to draw our circle again, just like we did on the other ones. Now right here on the center, we want to get as close as possible to the center of that, 0.125. Stop sketch, and we'll come over here. We'll do a sketch again, create sketch on the other plane. Circle 125. There we go. Now we have our two circles. Stop sketch. All right, now we need to extrude our ports, right? Now sometimes when you draw something within a body like this, it can be difficult to select. And what I usually end up doing is I go and find the body under cylinder, find your body, and make it unselectable. This is a toggling command. It says selectable, unselectable, and currently it's selectable, so I click on unselectable and I get a little red symbol with a line through it. So I really can't select the body to see. If I click on it, I can't select it anymore. And then I'm going to do an extrude. And then I should be able to reach in here and see how I can highlight. Now I turned off the other sketch, I should say, too. Get it out of the way, that circle. I turned that one off. And I can reach in there and select the one I want. And then I can say two-sided. And I can expand that as a cut out. Make sure I clear my edges and say OK. Now I have a cut, right? Nice port right through there. And it even came out right where we want at the end of the cylinder. Okay. And then we'll go to the next sketch. I just moved my timeline. Yes, I moved it down to what sketch I was working on. That's all. And now I just moved it back to that sketch. And we'll do another extrude. Select it. Two-sided. you know, and then and just oops, a little far. We'll just go a little bit, and then into the cylinder. Right? Okay. That's it. We got our ports, and if you then go back to your body, make it selectable again, simple deal, and go to cylinder, check your opacity down to 30 or so, and you can see how our ports are. If we go to the top, see our port alignment, looks good. Our holes are not too deep, and we have our holes for our other screws. I think all the features are there. That looks really good. Back to 100%. There we go. Let's put some paint on it, appearance, and the whole body. Let's make it blue like we make in the base, and then let's add some red at faces, red accents to the edges. Little red accents. There we go. Now it's nice and colorful. We can turn our base back on. Go back to your top setting. Your the Fusion engine is active, and you can see the two components together. Looks pretty good. Now, before we do now we're going to do the joint. We're going to do it right now and get this one done. Okay. Now we have our base, like I said, we have our base grounded. Now, you can go up here and do standard joints, or you can do as-built joints. As-built joint, you can join this to the base right now. It's built together in the location you want it in, and say joint. But as-built joints are not the same as the regular joints. If you're going to make a complicated thing, complicated assembly, use real joints. You'll end up having to change as-built joints to real joints if you don't. There are some simple things, like if I put screws in, I could do an as-built joint on that and rigid and have it stay right there. But on something that we're going to have move and everything, I prefer to go with real joints. The real joints work much better. Like I said, I usually, if I have an as-built joint for a quickie, fine. But like I'm going to show you here. Right now, I can take that cylinder off. Right? That's why we need to make a joint. We don't want to have to take the cylinder off because we're going to build other parts. And we want this cylinder to stay in the location it's at with the engine. That's why we're going to do the joints. So we're just going to click on joint, or hit J for joints. The grounded item becomes transparent, because the first component you want to select is the component that moves. Let me put it that way, the ungrounded one. Now we're gonna select that component, and we're gonna select in here, what do we want it to rotate around? Well, we don't want, this is the component, and you can see how these little points show up and all that. We're not selecting that face. We want to select this face. All right, see, now it's highlighted, and you can see in here, and you can see that when I select on the circle, the counterbore, right in the middle at the origin, a little Pac-Man icon shows up when I come up. See how I have a Pac-Man icon on my cursor? That icon will show up in the middle, and that's going to be the center of rotation, and it's on the right surface. So we're just going to click on that. So now I've created half of my joint. So now that one becomes transparent, and the grounded object becomes solid and selectable. So now we want the center of this bore, right? And the little Pac-Man icon there. Now, if you have something where it has a bunch of points that you could select, just hold the control key down, and you can select the icon you want, the point you want. But we want that circle and that center. And then it starts to do things. And you can click on Animate, and see, is that the motion you want? And that's, for us, that's the motion we want. And so it's a revolute type joint, and it's going to revolve around the z-axis. If I change this to x-axis, that's not what we want. The y-axis, we don't want that. We want the z-axis. There we go. Then we can do some offsets, but we're not going to do any offsets with this joint. We drew it in the location we want, and that's where we want it. So we're saying okay. Now we can grab that joint and look at that. We could spin it all the way around. Yeah. Right? But I can't take it away from the base. It will stay right here. Now it's going to be a little hard to draw if it moves all over the place, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add some limits to its motion. And the best way to do that is to be able to look right at the end of the joint. So if you go over here on the left, you'll see here, there's the revoluted joint we've made, and there's the angle, and over here it says edit joint limits. Now down here in the history we have a revolute icon, and you can right click on that also to get edit joint limits. Also, you can rename this. We're going to, instead of rev 1, we're going to call it something. We're going to say cylinder to base. Okay, so that tells me what joint that is. That's the cylinder base joint. And we're going to say edit joint limits. So now we have rotate, right? And we're just going to click on that, minimum, maximum, and we're going to also do a rest joint. But one thing I'm going to do is I want to be able to see through my base. Okay? Or the cylinder, it doesn't really matter. Let's see here. Let's cancel that. Let's look through one of them. Let's choose the cylinder, 30%. Now we're going to go back, edit joint limits. Click on that. Now we're looking at through the cylinder, and we can see our ports. Here's the top and bottom ports on the base, and then the center port on the cylinder right there. And I can move this. Well, I can't move right now. Yeah, oh, okay. Anyway, it's not squared up, but we'll fix that. You can grab these little blue things and pull them, right? I can grab this one and pull them, right? And you can see how the numbers change. Now, typing in numbers is kind of tricky over here. If you can do it this way, it's a lot easier to understand what's going on. Because you'll go type this number and then it changes this one, and it gets a little confusing. I find if I can do it this way, this is what I want to do. It's a lot easier. So I'm going to take this one, and I want it to go down. Now it's going to change in like 5-degree increments here, but I can type in the number. So 15 is a little too far, 10 is not far enough, and so let's try 12. Type in 12 right there, and that looks pretty good. I have full coverage of the port, and I like that. Now let's go the other way, and it's probably going to be, it should be 12 also, right? 12 degrees both ways. And it also sets the sign. That's why it can get kind of confusing if you just start typing them in. If you use these, it's very easy. It's pretty easy to do. Okay, we're good there, and we're going to say rest. Rest is not at 5 degrees. We want it at 0. We want it to be square with everything, and you can see how the ports line up. And we'll say, and then you can say animate. Okay, and you can watch and see if that's what you want. That looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with that. Now we can change this later on and all that, especially when we get the piston in there. We might have to have a little more degrees of motion. We might have to have some, but this is what we really want. And you can flip the change the angle, flip the, if you want to flip it, see, so, but that's not what we want, right? Put it back. There we go. Say okay. Now, when we rotate this, we grab it and rotate it. See, we said 0 was not straight, but let me fix this. See, this is what I mean. See how the numbers got all screwed up on us? Yeah, that's there. That's there. This should be 0. That's 0. Say okay. That's still not okay. There it is. You got to play with this a little bit. So now I can flip it down, and when I let go, it goes back to the 0 square position. That's what I wanted. So for now, if I do move it, it always goes back to 0. It makes it a little easier. We'll remove the rest command a little later on. But this is good for now. So we know it's nice and square, and it makes it look good. Go back to 100%. There we go. Alrighty, that concludes the cylinder part. Next we'll have the cylinder heads to make, the one with the gland and the end head, and we have flywheel. We have all these other things to keep going on. So thank you guys for watching. Practice makes perfect. That's all I can say. You can turn your joints off so you don't see them. Turn your origins off so you don't see them. There you go. Very nice looking engine. And we have a cylinder that can wobble. There's lots to go. Like I said, this is going to take us a little while. There's a lot to learn. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments. And if you are confused about something, maybe I can make a special video. I've already made a couple videos showing some little items for folks. They'll be real short, but if there's a specific point, I can make a special video and put that up to cover some of this stuff. Some of this stuff can be confusing, but you know, if you break it down to one thing, sometimes it's a lot easier. So thank you guys for watching. Please watch all the videos in this series. It really helps, and I hope you're learning something. Thank you guys, and thanks for watching.